region, and no outside force will be needed to be influenced in Korea.
And improve its efficiency. The expansion of the Security Council should be based on the principle of equitable geographical distribution.
United Nations members who came here to represent their country. Right now, the relationship between South Korea and North Korea is getting better and better. Melting the ice cap, which has been covering the Korean peninsula for half a century.
To be here at this conference. The delegation of France is a part of the G8, and we have a part in the Security Council as of now.
East and West for 28 years, they know how Korea feels and exactly what they are going through. The two sides of Germany were able to come together after both sides cooperated and made an agreement.
This is the need for all the member nations to cooperate with each other to address this very complex issue.
Every nation to consider how we are going to go about this change. We have to make sure that this change works, because a change that makes problems is no solution at all. Thank you.
Delegates, it is safe to say that most of us have or use computers on a daily basis.
In Mali, 1/3 of the population is diagnosed with AIDS. 30% of the hospital beds are occupied by AIDS patients aged between 15 and 49. However,
Jamaica,
Please hold your placards so we can see them.
and Iran.
Seoul Foreign School Mother Union Conference, and I'd like to tell you guys about what I did there and what I felt. First of all, this MUN conference is just like United Nations, that each country has a delegate of maybe 3 or more delegates, and each delegate represent their country and fight for their benefit. And the whole MUN is divided into 3 parts: political, economic, social, and Security Council. I participated in political council, so the political committee was about 2 Koreas and cyber terrorism. So first of all, they meet at a room as you saw in the video, and they have lobbying time, and you can like freely use this time to persuade people and find people who have the like same way of looking at the topic as me, and it would be a great advantage if you had a already typed resolution, because you can show them the resolution and like say if they like it or not. But this is my first time to MUN, so I couldn't prepare the resolution, so I just went as co-submitters of a resolution that I support. Then after the lobbying, they type out the resolution and submit it to approval panel, which like corrects the grammar mistakes, and like they decide whether this resolution is fitable for debating and voting or not. So for this, the first day schedule ends, and in the second day we went to Swiss Grand Hotel ballroom, and first those like ambassadors and the important people made their speech, and they divide the whole room into 2 parts. One is eco-social and one is political and Security Council. So then each delegate should make a opening speech, and you can say anything in this speech, but you should like tell like what kind of resolution you're supporting. then Security Council goes back to the Seoul Foreign School to debate, and political committee starts debating on each resolutions. As you saw, one people comes out and make a speech about supporting this resolution, and the delegates who are against it comes out and throws out questions so that they could weaken the other part. And throughout the debating time, you could make either friendly amendment or unfriendly amendment. Friendly amendment is just tweaking the resolutions, make some little changes and make some little changes in the way that doesn't hurt the meaning of the resolution. And unfriendly amendment is if you do that, you're saying that even though this is against the resolution, you should put it into the resolution. And there goes a debate on specific unfriendly amendment, and they decide whether they will accept it or not by voting. And this debating time takes so much time, and you can send notes to and after the debate we decide whether we'll accept this resolution or not by voting. And and after the debate we decide whether we'll accept this resolution or not by voting. And if this was a real UN, this resolution would become true. So this progress takes up 3 days, and it is very boring if you don't contribute a lot to it. So before you go, you should prepare yourself to be aggressive and active. And at this conference, I was maybe a little scared, and I think I acted a little passively. I didn't talk much. And if there's another opportunity to participate in this MUN conference, I would be grateful to go to it and talk with maybe other foreign students. So I think this was a very valuable experience.
At this conference, which I participated, which name was Seoul MUN Conference. Well, just simply, it was a very complicated progress of making their own resolution and passing it. At this conference, there were delegates from each country, and each delegate had made their own resolution about the issue they were talking about. And in spite of the fact that this was not real, the kids were very aggressive, and they're so aggressive that when a newcomer just went by, they would almost feel like, am I in a real conference or not? Well, on the first day, all the delegates from each country brought their resolutions about their issue and asked other delegates or persuaded them to support the resolution they wrote. And that was called lobbying, which went on for about 2 hours. And after that, during that there was a process of merging each other's resolutions and adding them into their own. So after that process, they finally went into the computer room, and from there they printed out their own resolution, which would be looked over, and then if it was logical, would be debated over the second day. On the second day, we went to Swiss Grand Hotel, and from there we first met an ambassador from Ireland for the opening speech. He emphasized that we were the future of this world, and he mostly talked about his experience as a delegate in the real UN and advised us how we should act at this conference. After that, we had a brief break and then went into our debating room, which was assigned to each one of us. At there, each one of us looked over each other's resolution, and for about 5 minutes, the delegate who wrote the resolution had an opportunity to give a speech about his resolution. After that, for about 30 minutes, there were for and against speeches for this resolution, and each delegate would have to consider the current resolution very deeply. Because it was my first time, I didn't make a lot of speeches, and I was very nervous, but the atmosphere in the conference room was just literally hot. So each delegate talked so enthusiastically, and after considering it, each had a time to vote for it, and if a majority supported the resolution, it was passed. Unfortunately, all the resolutions except one I supported, all didn't pass. But as a first comer of this MUN conference, I think it's a great honor. And after that, we had a nice buffer at the hotel, and went over to our friend's house, slept, and the next day we debated over the same issues, but different resolutions, which were the leftovers of the day before. We mostly debated the same way about it. There were friendly amendments and unfriendly amendments, and we passed notes. It took about 3 hours, and for at last, with all the past resolutions, we went to the ballroom where everybody participated for the last closing speech, and also while we were debating, we had 2 urgent messages. I know it wasn't true, but still it was very interesting. It was Ukraine, I think from Ukraine, that the president was just killed, and the president just died, and because of we talked about that issue, and at the ballroom we had the last closing speech, looked over some resolutions that were just passed, which told about emergencies, and after that the debate should close. As a delegate of France for this MUN conference, I think it was it meant a lot to me, and I am willing to participate another